I love your home already, and I haven't even seen it. Does that sound crazy? It's not. When we improve our surroundings, we simultaneously empower ourselves, which means every inch of space within your reach right now is an opportunity to tell the story you want to be living. Tell me that's not its own kind of wonderful. I have spent the last 15 years consulting clients and their homes through the wisdom of Feng Shui, intentional design, and some crystal clear communication. And you know what happens when you bring those three together? Life-changing magic. Your home is already in a conversation with you, so why not learn how to merge that awareness with some simple, straightforward, and smart action to co-create the life you want? I'm Amanda Gibby Peters, and I am here to help you learn how. Welcome to House Therapy. A few years into being a practitioner, I submitted an article to MindBodyGreen, and the topic was the power of sweeping, which of course usually begs the question, why sweeping? So I had been practicing Feng Shui for a little while, but I didn't have quite as much experience yet. And at the time, I had one client who, in her mind, had done everything she could that I'd recommended. So in a conversation, I told her something that I had once heard one of my teachers say, which is, when you don't know what else to do, sweep. She did. And within a few days, she called me to report that all sorts of changes were suddenly percolating. An agent had called her with a book deal for a project that she'd been shopping around for a while, and she was having this surge of new clients. So when I submitted the article to MindBodyGreen, it really was in the spirit of reinforcing that Feng Shui can be simple, and rituals done with intention and consistency carry an enormous amount of influence. That article went viral, and I knew almost immediately that what was resonating was not so much the shui or even the timing, because it had posted over the weekend. It was the overall simplicity of it. And that started me on my quest to keep things as simple and familiar whenever possible. So I love the nuances that come with spot treating a home for a client, because it really is usually within those layers of complexity where we find what I often call the splinters. However, I can't stress enough, too, there's an enormous amount of influence and reassurance knowing that things within our reach can have impressive flex too. And on that note, I'm sharing with you 3 kitchen ingredients that I always have in my shui bag, as well as my own personal repertoire around here, because they bear a similarity in effectiveness and elation as sweeping. So if you have oranges, cinnamon, and or salt in your kitchen, this episode is totally going to make your day. So first up, oranges. Why am I always talking about oranges? Well, one, they are bright like the sun and deliver an enormous amount of yang or yang qi to our spaces. And when I say yang, I mean engaging, confident, bold, adventurous, that independent energy. 2, the orange is a symbol of abundance, happiness, and good health. In fact, during the Lunar New Year, it is customary to eat oranges or tangerines after dinner because it is a ritual believed to invite the sweet life and auspicious luck into the year ahead. Finally, I really love oranges because while some traditional Feng Shui symbols and cures like mandarin ducks, bamboo flutes, firecrackers don't necessarily translate aesthetically for everyone, oranges usually do. So if you need to lift your spirit or balance out your chi, this first ritual is for you. And it came to me from my very first mentor and teacher, Ellen Whitehurst. At the time, I had finished grad school, had 3-year-olds. We were in a brand new to us house in a brand new to us town, and I was just trying to get us all settled in. And in my very first conversation with her, she said to me, Amanda, if the universe sees you constantly busy taking care of everyone but you, it's going to keep delivering you opportunities to do more of the same. So push pause at least once a week to take a long, hot bath. Schedule the time. Keep it like an important appointment. Because when you start taking better care of yourself, the universe will interpret this as I'm worth it and replenish you with more opportunities to enjoy your life now. Message received, and I'm going to share with you that same bath recipe that she shared with me so many years ago. I now affectionately refer to it as a me, myself, and I soap. So for this, you'll need 1 to 2 cups of Epsom or sea salt, and you're going to need 9 oranges. You're going to peel a quarter-size piece of orange peel from each orange. You're going to then fill your tub with hot water. You're going to add the salt, give the peels a little squeeze, drop them in, and let it all steep for about 10-ish minutes before getting in. If you need to top the tub off, do, and then you're just going to soak for 20 minutes. So there are 2 things happening here. The salt is soaking up that negative energy, kind of whatever you've carried from the day, the weeks, the months, while the essence from the orange rinds are going to steep and seep your soul and body with all that yang qi. So this is a really good place to slip in a really important question that we owe ourselves an answer to anytime we're cleansing energy, whether that is our own or our homes. And that is, what do I want to replace this with? And in this bath, the oranges totally have you covered. Now, this is the way that the soak recipe was shared with me, so I'm honoring that. However, if you can only work with 1 orange, or you prefer to only work with 1 orange, peel the 9 quarter-size pieces of rind off it and just make this recipe work for you. By the way, the orange rinds may be used in another bath before their elixir and zest is totally zapped. So consider this your nudge to stockpile a few baths the week you do this. All right, another fantastic ritual. Whenever you need to clear heavy energy right out of the air, this one's got you covered. You're going to need 1 fresh orange for this cleanse, and you're going to want to have a spray bottle filled with distilled or bottled water. Sitting quietly and without a knife, you're going to again peel 9 small round sections of the rind off your orange. While peeling, and this is why you aren't using a knife, you're going to think of what you would like to release or clear from your space. And when you have your rinds ready, give them a squeeze into the bottle and then drop them in. Once you've got the lid on, give your ingredients a swirl. Beginning at your front door and working clockwise, spray this citrus essence everywhere. Visualize light flooding your space while you set new intentions. The essence will totally rejuvenate you and your space while it's clearing any stagnant energy. So I know the tendency is to maybe grab some Palo Santo or a smoke stick or even incense to clear energy, but I think oranges sometimes have a little more oomph, and here's why. I've noticed about a 50% satisfaction rate with smoky cleanses, not on their effectiveness, but some clients and readers love the smell. Others often will suggest that they have a sensitivity to it. And sometimes people are averse to any of it, like the smoke just isn't for them. Oranges, like any citrus, almost guarantee a smile on faces, though, and quite instantly, too. I've never met a client who isn't drawn to a citrus of some kind because they are just so happy and joyful and uplifting, which is why they are a must-have for sweeping away stagnant, depressed energy anytime we want to move into a more uplifted state. All right, moving on to our second kitchen ingredient, cinnamon. This one is probably the newest addition to my Shui bag in terms of simple, heavy hitters. But let me just say, the love is just as fierce. So I was researching wealth generators for a blog post, and I was noticing that cinnamon was coming up over and over and over again wherever I searched. So I got interested and explored its influence a little more. And I learned that it's not only a powerhouse at attracting and calling in money, wealth, and prosperity, but it also keeps unwanted energy at bay. Hello, protection. And it also makes our space an open invitation to cosmic support, spiritual helpers, that kind of judge. And it was becoming pretty clear to me that this bundle of benefits, money, protection, support, was making cinnamon basically welcome company in any room of any house. So when clients come to me now about energetic blocks, and this could be about money, clients, customers, maybe opportunities aren't coming in the door, I love to incentivize the door with a little cinnamon. And my standard prescription, I have them stand outside the front door, even their office door. I have them put 3 pinches of cinnamon in their hand, and then they blow the cinnamon toward and inside the front door or the office door. If you can't do that, here's a little backup. Give your mouth of chi, remember, that's your front door, some monthly TLC, and then dot it with a little cinnamon oil to woo and welcome prosperous opportunities your way. So to do this, I typically take a Q-tip and dot a little cinnamon oil on it, and then I will dot on the door that cinnamon oil, or I will make a little number 8 sign because 8 represents the energy of infinity and abundance. And if you don't want to have this actually on the front of the door, then just go for the door jamb. All right, while we are still at the front door, here's your next tip. Whenever I have a client who's feeling insecure, maybe doubt is swirling, maybe there's a big decision looming, whatever it is, I will encourage them to plant a few cinnamon sticks near the front door, either in the planters, under the doormat, or in the porch corners or nooks. And if that doesn't work, then we grab that cinnamon oil, we add a few drops to the broom bristles, and we sweep the porch. So I recently shared some of the wow that cinnamon can pack on Instagram, and here's one of the comments that a reader left. They said, I put a few drops of cinnamon essential oil on my broom bristles, sweeping both the porch and in my house. And within a day or 2 of blowing cinnamon on my front door, I received the offer on our home I was hoping for. How's that for wow? Okay, we've now arrived at my most favorite, yep, I said that, my most favorite magic maker of all, salt. I love salt. I often refer to it as the original crystal. I know we all love the pretty crystals, the amethyst, the citrine, the smoky quartz, and so on. But dare I say, I love salt even more? It is forever one of my go-to remedies. It's the one I reach for instinctually, quickly, preferentially, whenever energy gets wonky. And because it connects to the salt in our sweat, tears, and blood, it has an organic influence over our personal chi. Plus, almost everyone has this in their home, which makes it such a shui-friendly resource at almost anyone's fingertips. So, one of the questions I get most often is how can I feng shui my garage? Because when people figure out that if it's attached to the house, it's part of the map, and oh my gosh, now what do I do in this gua in this area of my life? And there are, of course, so many ideas for how you feng shui a garage, but this cleanse is one of my favorite starting points. So you're going to need to sweep the entire space to prepare for this cleanse, and then you're going to sprinkle or pour maybe about a cupful of coarse salt. It can be sea, Epsom, rock salt, whatever you have on the floor. You're going to use your broom to sweep it around the garage. Once it's sort of been scattered everywhere, then you're going to sweep it all up. And as you do, imagine and intend for the salt to take any lingering, flatlining low chi with it. Once you've swept it all in a pile and into your dustpan, flush it down the toilet. All right, are you thinking, great, I just made a mess and cleaned it up, what gives? Well, there is an additional reason I'm sharing this ritual, and that is that salt encourages, recruits, and promotes healthy financial flow. So here's a fun fact. The Romans actually paid their soldiers with salt because It was such a valuable commodity and really something that was only available to the elite and wealthy once upon a time. So much so that the word salary is derived from the Latin word for salt. So not only are you clearing up expired energy with this cleanse, you can also hold this thought in your mind. Where there is salt, there is money. All right, this final ritual recipe is one that I share whenever energy feels devastated. And I actually mean that word. It's whenever clients of mine are in a bad situation, the kind that you or I would not want to find ourselves in, and they need me to come out and cleanse or clear their space, and I can't get to them right away. This is where I pivot without fail. So if there's only one recipe you can take with you today, this is it. I have them grab some sea, Epsom, rock salt, whatever they have on hand. And if it's only table salt, that will work too. I tell them to fill up one bowl about 70% with salt, and I have them place it in the middle of their space and leave it out for up to, but no more than 24 hours. And if they have the bandwidth, I'm going to also have them sprinkle some salt along the thresholds of their homes. That's the front door, the back door, the side door, the garage door. And I have them leave that salt up to, but no more than 24 hours there too. So the salt is basically going to soak up the fallout chi from whatever has just happened, and it's going to keep it contained. So somewhere before or right at that 24-hour mark, I have them dispose of the salt in an outside trash. I have them flush it down the toilet, or I have them buried in the ground. You can bury salt in the ground because earth energy will transmute negative energy into neutral chi. And whether they sweep up the threshold salt or vacuum it, I have them dispose of it too, just outside the home, right? The reason this 24-hour mark is really important is because salt is kind of like a sponge. And right around 24 hours is when it is no longer absorbent. It's actually going to become leaky, which means all of that toxic, devastating energy it has soaked up will start to seep back into the space. So here's a real life client story. One of my regulars called me because things in his business felt like they were suddenly taking a precipitous tumble, and he wanted to know if I would come out and do a space clearing. I asked if he would just try leaving out a bowl of salt for 24 hours, following the instructions I just gave you, and that if things didn't feel a little better, I would be out within 48 hours. Before 48 hours had elapsed, he'd received a $10,000 infusion of cash from a client who'd owed him some money, and he felt like suddenly his business was back on its feet. So yeah, salt is a pivot maker and chi shaker like that. And just like that, you now know that you have a chi arsenal in your kitchen. Who knew? So here's what I will leave you with. These are my most tried and true recipes. I give them to my clients the very most. I rely on them the very most. And because of that consistency, I know they generate results the very most. But to bring this full circle, if any of this ever feels like too much and you don't know what else to do, well, go back to the very beginning and remember, you can always sweep. And just like that, it's another episode wrap. A million thanks for being here and listening today. And if you're not quite ready for this conversation to end, come find me on the gram. I'm at Amanda Gibby Peters, or grab a copy of my book, Simple Shui for Every Day, available at Amazon and Bookshop and anywhere you get your books. And if you want to work with me, check out simpleshui.com for all the ways we can make that happen. Cheers to marvelous week, sweets, and I hope to see you back here in a week. Until then, give that house of yours some big love for me.